you doing, man?
Good. I've got this Winchester rifle that I'm looking to sell.
Looks like a pea shooter to me, man.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my Winchester rifle from the 1800s. I'd like to sell it just to help out my grandmother. I'd like somewhere in the $3,000 range.
So you're not from around here?
No, a little further south.
Okay. So where'd you get this at, man?
It's actually been passed down from generation to generation. This has wound up in my hands. I'm looking to sell it and get some money for it.
So what can you tell me about it, man?
It's from the late 1800s. That's what I've been told anyway.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's kind of when these octagon barrels and stuff were really popular.
Okay.
I mean, one of the cool things about Winchester is they're an American company. At one point, we're probably one of the greatest gun makers in the world.
Right, okay.
They've got a huge, huge history. One of the most important things about Winchester is this mechanism right here.
Okay.
They can get however many shots off in a rifle as opposed to the whole dropping the ball down there, packing it in. You could actually shoot a shot at a guy, and by the time he was able to load up his musket, you could shoot him 5 or 6 times.
Sure.
Winchester is a huge name in firearms. The Winchester repeater is known as the gun that won the West. It played a huge role in the hands of Western settlers.
Now, this particular gun, on the other hand, isn't a repeating rifle. This was single shot. You'd load the bullet in there, close it up, shoot the gun, kick it back out, throw another one in. So it's kind of an earlier stage gun, but it's still way faster than the old muskets.
Okay.
It's a .22 long caliber, which is really small. I mean, it's one of the smallest bullets they make. And it's made by Winchester. There's just tons of people out there that love them and have to have them.
It's great.
So, I mean, generally, it's a pretty easy sale.
Okay, that's good.
Any idea of what you're looking to get out of it?
2,500 bucks.
All right. I got a few concerns, man. I don't know how old it is. I really have no idea what something like this was worth. If you don't mind, man, let me grab my dad real quick and see if he knows anything more about it.
Sure.
Hey, Pops, come here real quick.
I'm not too worried at all. If someone's expertise is on the rifle and I'm a better chance of possibly getting more money out of it, then that's great.
Come look at this gun for me. .22 caliber Winchester. What do you know about it?
Sometimes Corey calls me over for a little help, especially with guns. I've tried teaching him, but it just goes in one ear and out the other. That right there is a model 1885 Winchester. It was designed by John Browning. He designed the best hunting rifles in the world. The first large machine guns the United States Army had, he designed.
Wow.
Odd thing about him, there's a million guns named after him, but he was never successful in making guns. John Browning had over 100 different gun patents, but most of his designs were actually manufactured by different gun companies. Even though Browning designed this .22, it was built by Winchester. So what's up?
I mean, it's a .22. It's such a small caliber. I mean, what are you going to hunt with it or kill with it?
It's not really a hunting caliber. What this is made for is target shooting. When you're competition shooting and you're practicing all day long, there's 2 things you want: a really accurate gun and really cheap ammo.
How accurate was it?
With a good shooter and good ammo, you could shoot quarters at 50 yards.
Wow. Are you sure, man?
Yeah, this particular rifle, extremely accurate gun. The really super rare thing about this is it has an octagon barrel.
Okay.
It was more money, so hardly anyone bought them like that, which makes it a lot rarer and a lot more collectible.
Okay, cool.
And it's in really, really good condition. I mean, it's still the original stock, the original butt plates. The bluing's really, really good. I mean, it's just in really good shape.
How old is it?
They're easy to date. It's a low 5-digit serial number, so early 1890s.
How much is it worth?
$3,000 or $4,000 we can get out of it.
Wow.
All right, nice talking to you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, you guys figure it out. Make sure we make money. I love Winchester rifles. This one's in great shape, so I hope Corey makes the right decision.
So, you heard what he said. I mean, what do you think you want for it?
Yeah, I'm looking for $2,500 for it.
I'll go 1,000, man.
Your father's just said that it's worth $3,000 or $4,000. I'm sure you can do better than that.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, with Winchesters, people want the bigger calibers. They want the guns that Wyatt Earp used. 1,500 if you want it, man.
Okay, I'll take it.
All right, deal. Chum right, Chum.
I'm glad my dad was around to look at this gun, because I wouldn't have guessed it was worth so much. Now I'm dying to take it out and fire it to see if it's really as accurate as he says it is.
At 50 yards, this gun is just as accurate, if not more accurate, than your AR-15s and everything else.
Really?
I'm telling you, I can put it within the size of a $50 anywhere on that target.
All right, Pops, you've been talking all day like you're Annie Oakley, so I brought an old man coin. See if you can hit it.
We sell those for 60 bucks.
Yeah, and I know you're not gonna hit it, so that's the point. If you do, I'll pay for it.
All right, fine. Hope you got 60 bucks cash on you, plus tax.
Come on, Rick, 3 shots. If you win, I'll even buy you lunch. But if you miss, you're buying me lunch.
I'm fine with that. Go put the coin out there.
To be able to hit a $50 at 50 yards, that's stuff people do in movies. There's no way my dad can do it. I mean, it isn't like this guy's out practicing with a gun every day.
Dead center, no problem.
I don't think you're gonna be able to hit it, Pops, not from this far away.
I don't know, I just got to sight it in. That's all I got to really do.
Strike 1.
All right, I'm just getting it dialed in. I'll get it this time.
Oh, strike 2.
I kind of feel bad for you right now, Pops. You can't hit with your cool gun.
Watch this.
I don't believe it.
Damn it. You got lucky there.
There was no luck involved whatsoever. 60 bucks and I like Mexican.
I don't got any money on me.
You just said you'd buy me lunch if I hit it.
Not today.
Sometimes I can't stand these kids. I know I'm not going to get the 60 bucks for Corey, and Chum's never going to buy me lunch.
What do we got here?
I got an old Stevens shotgun, 3 triggers. It's been in the family for about 60 years. I travel around the country with my line of work, and I've been toting the shotgun around for the last 15 years.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an insurance adjuster.
Sounds like you should have a briefcase, not a shotgun.
I came to the pawn shop today to see what kind of money I can get out of my rare 3-trigger, 12-gauge shotgun. I hope today I get a check for $100,000. One thing that I think is really cool about the shotgun is because of the 3rd trigger, is the one that opens up the breech.
Okay, so instead of the little lever on the side, they use that. Okay.
And I believe it was made for somebody special. That's all hand engraved right there.
Oh, absolutely. Stevens, they made good rifles. They made excellent shotguns. We get Stevens guns in here every now and again, but this 3-trigger model shotgun is something you only hear about. It's rumored Wyatt Earp had one. It's definitely badass.
How old is this shotgun?
I would put that at about 150 years old.
It's in really good shape. What you have here is you got a barrel that's made out of Damascus steel. I mean, Damascus steel comes from Damascus, Syria, and there's a few things with the steel there that just made it better. You can see kind of like the wavy lines in the barrel. Pretty much what they would do is they would take wire, wrap it around a solid piece of steel, and heat it up and hammer it till it became one solid piece of steel. Real expensive process, at the time, the best steel in the world. So do you have any idea of what you're looking to get out of it?
100,000.
Are we just shooting in the dark there?
Nobody's ever seen one before.
I've never seen a 3-trigger shotgun in all my life. For all I know, the thing could be worth tens of thousands. On the flip side of that coin, it could be worth absolutely nothing. Would you mind if I called a buddy of mine down to have him take a look at it?
That'd be fantastic.
All right, man, appreciate it. I really want this thing, but when you're dealing with a gun that's this old, lots of things can affect the value. And the last thing I want to do is make an offer and find that I'm way off. Jemison, how you doing, man?
Hey, Big Hoss, how's it going?
Going good.
I've been a gun appraiser for approximately 16 years and specialize in antique firearms, particularly Western firearms like Colts and Winchesters. Well, Corey, I have to say this is one of the rarest shotguns that I've ever seen. I've only seen maybe 4 or 5 in about 16 years of doing this. And most of them, they're unengraved. It's all on the frame and also on the trigger guard. Very nice scroll engraving.
I mean, I kind of figured that to engrave it and make it look that good, I'm assuming you had to be kind of a wealthy guy to own it back then.
Well, reasonably wealthy. I think people back then appreciated firearms more than they do now in a way because they were a sense of livelihood. This shotgun was used for hunting primarily. It does capture your attention with the 3 triggers. Other than having the front trigger unlatch the barrels, it's pretty much a standard hammer shotgun. They were very good quality for that period. This gun's seen a lot of wear, a lot of use. This might be a repair. You can see where the grain doesn't quite match, so it might be a little splice right here. You can see the butt is really worn, like it's been used quite a bit. It does have pitting on the barrels. This gun would classify to me in fair condition.
Well, hold on there. How would you rate that as not being in excellent condition? It's 150 years old.
Doesn't
How
matter.
many have you seen?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, sir. You know, in the gun trade, it has to be in really, really mint condition. I think there's a misconception out there that rarity is always worth money. Most of the time, it needs to be old and in excellent condition.
I just don't know what it's worth.
That's to be expected. It's unusual. Most people wouldn't know what it's worth. This gun, in the condition that it's in now, would be worth about $700 to $1,000.
How much?
$700 to $1,000.
There's no way.
If it were in much better condition, it would be worth a lot more money.
How much more?
If it were in really nice shape, maybe $2,000 to $3,000, and I'm saying that maybe.
Jimison, thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot, sir. I don't think he will get a better price. If he sells it to anyone who knows firearms, they're not going to give him much more than that for it.
If you're gonna hold me to make you an offer, I'm gonna offer you around 500 bucks.
There's no way. I've done turned down 2,500. I honestly would like $10,000.
If I were you, I would chase down the guy that offered you 2,500 and shake him down for it. I think maybe the 3-trigger thing, it might have just not been practical, which could have been why they stopped making the 3-trigger models. So you want the 500 bucks?
No, I can't take the 500. It's worth more than that just to show the people, my friends, when they come to visit.
You know, man, it's been in your family this long, you might as well
Sure.
keep it for another 60 years.
I'm going to continue doing my research. In my own heart, I know it's worth more money.
How can I help you?
Well, what I've got is a late 1700s tap action over under Flintlock 4-barrel pistol.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I came to the pawn shop today to try to sell my 4-barrel pistol. My uncle had it, and then he gave it to my father, who then gave it to me. I really don't know how much the gun is worth, but I'm hoping that they can shed some light for me.
It is neat.
The reason I think this gun is so cool is because of all the engraving that is done on it. On the sides here, it says R. Clark. The other side has got London. So it was manufactured in London.
Okay.
And I don't know what number 102 means.
That was probably the gun maker's serial number he put on
Think
it.
so?
He might have made a few hundred of these, and this was number 102. I don't know.
And each barrel is clearly numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Will that shoot all 4 barrels at the same time?
I mean, it could shoot 4 at a time. It was designed, though. You'd pull the hammer back, which is broken, and this right here should be spring-loaded. You can make it a 2-shot pistol. When it's like this, you only have the 2 holes for the barrels exposed. Okay, so when you shoot it, just these top 2 barrels would go off. And then you could black this back down, turn this, and now there's that extra powder you had hidden away in there.
Right.
Cock the hammer back and shoot it again. Now the bottom 2 barrels will go off. So it was one of the original multi-shot guns.
I
You
got
actually shoot it twice.
I got you.
For the 1700s, this was a pretty high-tech gun. But this is some of my problems with it, okay? You're missing the top half of this bolt that would normally hold the flint.
Right.
And we have, the spring is broken. There's a piece of spring steel that holds that down. It's in rough shape. What do you want to do with it?
I want to sell it.
Okay, and how much did you want for it?
I don't know, because I don't know the value of that gun at all.
You know, I'm thinking it's probably worth $500, $600,
Okay.
but it could be a lot more, okay? I would like to get an estimate on how much it would be to fix it, to make it actually functional, because if it's functional, people are going to want to buy it.
Right.
It'll make it worth more money.
Right, okay.
Okay, so let me call a buddy of mine in here, get a little bit better idea on the gun, and then I'll give you a price.
Okay, thank you.
Even though it's beat up, I'm still interested because it's an unusual and cool old gun.
Jimison, how you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
how's it going, Corey?
Always good.
Rick,
How's things?
what do you got today?
An old 4-barrel pistol by some dude named Clark.
Well, that's about sums it up. The guys usually call me down here for antique weapons. Everything from World War II prior to that, pretty much, is what I do. Well, I've been in the antique gun business for about 16 years, and I can tell you that you do not see many of these come up. And it is by R. Clark. You know, Clark was in business with his son from 1790 to 1820. And because it doesn't say R. Clark and Son, I suspect it means it was probably done before his son was in the business.
And right around that time period, the English guns were the best in the world, right?
That's correct. And I would say it dates somewhere to 1785 to 1790. You know, during the 17th, 18th centuries, everybody wanted some kind of weapon, you know, to defend themselves with, and they wanted something that would be ready to shoot if they got robbed. So the barrels would have been loaded prior to putting onto the gun so that they would be actually ready to shoot. 4-barrel flintlocks are very rare. At the time, it was the top type of gun that was made. It gave you a backup if you missed the first one and hopefully keep you from being robbed. It has the maker's name on the side here, and this side has his address on it, which is 102 Cheapside, London.
So that's not a serial?
No, that's not a serial number. It's a matter of advertising. You know, if you made a fancy gun or a really nice gun, they would know where to go.
Okay. Do you have any idea what that would cost back in 1780?
Probably pay 3 or 4 pounds for it back then.
Back then, it was a pound in England was literally a pound of silver.
Really?
That's a lot of money nowadays.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Rick, what are your concerns about this weapon?
What's it worth, and would it be worth it to get it fixed?
This gun has obviously seen better days. The upper half of the cock is missing, which makes it unoperable. And it's supposed to be spring-loaded so that when the flint strikes it, it goes back in its original position. So that is an issue. I've seen guns like this in really nice condition go for $3,000 to $5,000 in the case. But this gun, in the condition it's in, I'd say is worth about $700 to $1,000 if you're lucky. And to spend the money to have it rebuilt wouldn't bring back that money in any form.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in, man. You're the best.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah. This gun did not have collector condition. There were parts missing, parts replaced, so it's not the kind of gun a collector would pursue.
So how much would you be willing to pay for it?
Okay, I mean, the problem is it's a non-operable gun. It's just not worth fixing it. It's what I originally thought. I'd give you $500 for it.
But it's a pretty gun, though.
It's a pretty gun, but it's also pretty beat up, and I mean, it doesn't work.
600?
What do you think?
How many old English guns have we bought over the years, and how many do we have in the case now?
I don't have any right now.
I mean, they all sell eventually, right?
All right, $600.
Deal.
Okay.
All right, come with me. Let's do some paperwork.
I was hoping I'd get more, but, you know, 600 I can live with.
How can I help you?
I've got a rifle I'd like to show you. This is a rifle that was involved in the Hatfield-McCoy feud.
You're talking about the Hatfield-McCoy
The
feud.
Hatfield-McCoy feud, one in the history books.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
I came to the pawn shop today to try and sell my Winchester rifle. It was involved in the Hatfield-McCoy feud. I'd like to sell the rifle to help my son with a down payment on a house. I'd be asking $19,000 today, and the least I would take is $12,000.
Where did you get this thing?
This is passed down from my great-grandfather to my dad to myself. Cap Hatfield, the owner of this gun, was running across the land being chased by the McCoys. Horse went lame. My great-grandfather traded the gun for a fresh horse.
That's cool. Literally, I mean, it's like one of the most famous feuds in American history. I mean, they've made movies about it. It's been in television series. It's just about everything. The Hatfields and McCoys lived right along the West Virginia-Kentucky border and fought against each other during the Civil War. While no one knows exactly how the feud got started, we do know a lot of people got killed. What's that right there?
This is the provenance on this gun.
Okay.
This is from my grandfather, notarized with the Kentucky notary.
And signed by your grandfather.
Yes.
So you're saying this belonged to Cap Hatfield?
Cap Hatfield, yep. Devil Ance's second eldest son.
Now, Devil Anse Hatfield, he was the ringleader. He was in charge of, let's go get some McCoys. Cap was definitely involved in the feud. He actually killed some of the McCoys and some of the other people.
Cap Hatfield killed 7 people, and hence we have the notches on the barrel.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Or it could just be a coincidence that there's 7 marks on the barrel there. A 92 Winchester is pretty rare. And just 2 years later, they came out with a Winchester 94, which most people consider like the best lever action they ever invented. If this gun was really part of the Hatfield-McCoy feud, it could be worth a ton of money. I'll probably have to hire some extra security to keep collectors from mobbing this place just to get at it. So I really hope we can authenticate it to confirm it's legit. This is in rough shape. The action's broken. The hammer's supposed to stay back. Obviously, there was a whittling contest of some sort. We got grind marks right here. All the bluing's gone.
Yeah, it's patina. There's no doubt about it.
So what do you want to do with it?
Well, I'm considering selling it if the price is right.
And how much were you looking to get out of it?
19 grand.
If the story is true, you're talking some good money here. Let me have someone come down and take a look at it.
Okay?
All right.
I feel it's a good idea that we bring in a second opinion. I think it would help verify some of the information we're trying to prove.
Hey, Craig, how's it going, man?
Rick, how you been?
All right. This is what I called you about. A rifle supposedly belonging to one of the Hatfields from the Hatfields and McCoys.
May I?
Go right ahead.
All right. The guys call me down here when they have a question about a firearm or a military antique that has the potential to be historically significant.
So you're familiar with the Hatfield-McCoy feud, right?
Absolutely.
My understanding, you started over a pig and then just sort of escalated from there.
I don't think the pig story's true. I heard Civil War feud. There were a lot of theories. Some of these guys didn't even know why they were shooting each other. They just knew, that's a McCoy, I gotta shoot him. The Hatfield-McCoy feud started after the Civil War and went through the 1890s. Some say it continued beyond that. No one really knows. So Mark, tell me how you got this gun.
It was passed down through my family from my great-grandfather. Cap Hatfield was being chased across his land. His horse went lame. My great-grandfather traded his lame horse for the gun and has been in the family ever since.
Rick, what are your concerns?
Do you think it's legit?
The letter's got the serial number 134637, and we have 134637. This is a real 1892 Winchester.
All right.
I don't see a lot wrong with it other than it's in fairly rough condition, to be kind.
Is the provenance enough for you?
Rick, the provenance is good, but it's not 100%. If it went to 100%, you'd be talking big money.
So what do you think?
What I'm looking at here is a gamble. Listen, Al Capone's pistol just sold at auction for $100,000, okay? And I will tell you the provenance was not quite as good as this, but the reason it's a big gamble is because standalone, the rifle's worth $1,000, $1,500. Let me just take this away for a moment, okay? If you are into the gamble, the risk and reward, in other words, if you buy the story, you have potential for a lot of reward because if it checks out and the provenance improves, for example, maybe you get lucky enough and find Cap Hatfield, you know, posing with the gun, it could be worth $20,000, $30,000.
Okay.
But say you pay $5 grand for it. If it doesn't check out, you're out $4 grand because this is about a $1,000 rifle.
He wants $19,000 for it. Would you pay that?
No, I would not.
What would you pay for it?
If I was a gambling man with the story as it sits, do I think it's worth $5,000 to $10,000? Yes.
Okay.
Again,
Depends on whether I want to gamble.
that's what it comes down to.
All right, well, thanks, man.
Rick, it's really hard to say. How much do you value the story? It's a very subjective question. It's worth more than a Winchester model 1892 that you'd find at a gun show. How much more? That's the big question.
So I guess the question now is, are you a gambling man?
When the odds are in my favor. That's when I'm a gambling man.
Okay.
You know, in this business, your reputation is everything.
Sure.
With no reputation, I don't have a business. So, I'm not gonna risk it.
I appreciate you looking at it.
All right, have a nice day.
We weren't able to make a deal today, so I think we'll just keep the gun in the family for now, and we'll work on some more documentation, see if there's something out there we've missed, potentially with a museum or going back to the through the family archives a little further.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I've got this Colt Paterson that I'm interested in selling. I think this might be a prototype.
That's really, really cool.
I came to the pawn shop today to try to sell my Colt Paterson prototype. I'd like to buy a house closer to my son who lives in California. I would hope to get somewhere in the, close to $100,000.
Where did you get this?
Auction company had this on the internet, and when they were advertising it, they called it a Colt belt model. And from the picture, it just didn't look like a belt model because of the location of these two screws in the center of the frame, which tells me that it maybe was not one of the guns that was a production model.
An actual Colt prototype would be a big deal. This is the gun that started it all. This was the first reliable revolver. For hundreds of years, they were trying to make multi-shot guns. But the problem was they were terrible. There was the pepper boxes. It was 5 or 6 barrels, and you had to hand rotate them after every shot, which by the 6th shot, the entire thing was like blazing hot. And if you touched it, you would burn your hand. And they just never got the design right until this came along. Samuel Colt is one of the biggest names in guns. His multiple-shot revolver first got big with the Texas Rangers. They used them to conquer the last remaining sections of the Wild West. I mean, it's a neat design. It was made to just fit in your pocket without getting hung up. That's why the trigger tucked in, and then once you pulled it back, you were ready to go. I can tell you what, it's got very little use on it. Generally, these things were beat to death. I've never seen a Colt Paterson prototype before. This would be like a holy grail item for gun collectors. How much did you pay for it?
About $4,000.
Okay. My big concern is it's not real. The wear pattern right here should be just as bad as it is over here.
I think it's a prototype because of the position of those screws.
If it's a prototype, it could be worth anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. Let me get someone down here to take a look at this thing.
Okay. I'm really anxious to see what he can tell me about the gun. Hopefully it is a good one. We'll find out.
Hey, Rick.
Jameson, how's it going?
All right, here you might have a Colt Paterson there.
Maybe, but this guy right here is absolutely convinced it's a prototype.
Okay. I'm an antique firearms appraiser, and I appraise firearms that are made before 1898. Well, there's probably no gun company in the world that's more recognizable than Samuel Colt. Basically, he made his fame by developing the Colt revolver.
Yeah.
Colt had a factory in Paterson, New Jersey, and basically that's where these guns were made, and that's why they're called a Paterson. You know, Sam Colt was one of the people that helped create the idea that every family, every person should have a gun for self-defense. I'm sure you don't see these that often. What are your main concerns about it?
My big concern is the wear on this pistol is completely wrong. But I know if it's a genuine prototype, it could be worth some ridiculous money.
That's correct. Let me take this book out here and let's make some comparisons. Now, this book is the Paterson Colt book. It's written by R.L. Wilson. This is the definitive book on Colt Patersons. Now, let's just lay that gun down there and make some observations. Look at the angle of the back strap here on this gun, and look at the angle here. This is much more severe. The lug on this barrel is much bigger than the one here. If you lay it on, look where the lug comes out on this. Now, if you look at all the models in this book, none of them look like this.
To me, it still looks like it's a prototype because of the position of those screws.
This screw right here appears to be a modern screw. You know, all these screws back then were handmade.
So, is it real?
In my opinion, it's not real. Everybody has those pipe dreams of finding something that's one of a kind in the bushes, so to speak, but that's pretty much a myth.
I would have loved for this thing to have been real and me give you $50,000 for it. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen today. Thanks.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm disappointed. I wish it was the real thing. I was telling myself continually, don't get over enthused about it. It may be a fake.